And I also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today we'll be doing our grade 5 English lesson on prefixes and suffixes. And before we start, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once we have logged into aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of language arts, grade 5. And then we're going to scroll down up until we get to our chapter of prefixes and suffixes. And we started on the lesson on prefixes and suffixes already. And in our previous lesson, we did words with pre, words with re, and words with sub, right? So today, like we said, our chapter is prefixes and suffixes, English language arts, grade 5, and the lessons that we are focusing on today is words with miss, words with an, dis, in, im, and non. So that is going to be our focus on today. And when it comes to prefixes, a prefix can be added to the beginning of a base word in order to create a new word. So we have our base word, right? That is the word that can stand on its own. But as soon as we add, let's say, either a word or letters in front of that word, right? Then we call that a prefix. So a prefix is added at the beginning of a base word. The base word is a word that can stand on its own in order to create a new word. And knowing the meaning of a prefix can help you to determine the meaning of a word. So which means that since we are doing the lesson on miss, and dis, in, im, non, it might sound as if those words or letters mean nothing, but they actually mean something, right? So knowing what one of them mean or each one of them mean, it basically can help you to determine the meaning of a word. Because you can have your word, which is your base word, and as soon as you add one of these prefixes to your word, right? And then it basically changes the meaning of that word, or it creates a new word with its meaning. All right, so the prefix of miss, right? So the prefix of miss, it means incorrectly or it means badly. So the prefix of miss means incorrectly or it means badly. So that is the meaning of the word. So basically, whichever word or base word this word miss attaches to, right? It means that that word is actually going to be like almost like a negative word. Like, for example, if we have a word like inform, right? If you have a word inform, that is like me telling you, okay, I'm telling you that I'm doing this, that, and the other, right? I'm informing you that I will be taking a day's leave. That is inform, right? So inform is something good. It means that you're communicating. But as soon as we, for example, add the prefix in front, let's say misinform, for example, right? Then it means that I have informed you incorrectly. It's like the wrong information is given. All right, if we look at more examples, right? Because remember, we said miss either means incorrectly or it means badly. So misinform, right? It's like you're informing somebody incorrectly or not correctly. If you look at this word, mistake, mistake. And mistake also means where people always will, for example, like if we look at an example, we can say, "Oh, someone always mistakes me for my brother." But that is basic. It's like they are incorrectly saying or they're incorrectly identifying me. It's a mistake. We have misunderstand, right? Like this, we not understanding each other. We are in understanding each other incorrectly or badly. Misplace. It's like saying I don't know where I put it. It must be somewhere. I've probably put it in a different place, a wrong place, and now we can't find it. Then we have a word maybe like misuse, right? It's like where you use either funds or things incorrectly. And then lastly, misbehave, right? Misbehave. It is where you are not behaving at all. You are behaving in a bad way. That is, for example, words with miss, right? And this word in front of us, the word that I'm underlining currently, that is called the prefixes. We have a base word that can stand on its own, and as soon as we add this word, for example, miss, in front of it, then it means that we're adding the prefix to it. And this meaning, the meaning of this word miss, it means either incorrectly or it means badly, which means that all of these words that we had mentioned here, it basically means something negative. It means something either incorrectly or it means something badly, it means something ill. All right. Then we have words with an, dis, in, im, and non, right? Those are also prefixes that you can add in front of a base word, and then it will basically create a new word. All right. And if we look at the word "an," right, you get words like untie. So we have tie, that is a word that is the root word that can stand on its own. And now we're adding the prefix "an," which is untie. So we have untie, we have unzip. Who can think of more words starting with "an"? We have understand, yes. So basically, before we even continue, these are all negative words. So what basically the words like "an," "dis," "in," "im," and "non," even "miss," it's negative words because we said "miss" means incorrectly or badly, right? Then we also have the word "an," which also means a negative word. It means not. So "an" means not. Then we have the word "dis," right? Which we are going to get to. And "dis" means it is not, or we can say it is opposite to. Then we have the word "im," right? Remember we said that these prefixes, they have their own specific meaning, right? So "dis" and "im" is basically the same. So it's also not, or it is opposite to. And then we have "none," right? And "none" also means not. And if we now look at all of these words, right, or let's say the prefix of these words means negative. It means it has a negative meaning or connotation to it. Yes, unacceptable. It's correct because acceptable means something good. Unacceptable means that it is not accepted at all. That means unacceptable. It is not accepted at all. So unacceptable. So that is correct. Well done. Here we have a word. Let me choose a different color. Here, if we use the word "im," then we can say impatient, meaning that, the word patient is something good, means that it's fine, I will wait, take your time, that it's patient. But impatient means that you are hasty, you in a rush, you don't want to wait, you just want things to be done. That is impatient. Dislike. It's the opposite of like. I don't like you. Dislike. Yes, we have improper. Not important because important still means a positive word. But improper, meaning that proper means that, things are going well, but improper means that things are not okay, things are not proper. Because remember, these words are, it has their own meaning, but all of these words mean something negative. We have impact. Okay. All right. And if we look at the word non, we can say it's nonsense, meaning that it makes no sense. If you, for example, say, you can also say non-verbal, meaning that the person is not talking at all. And then we have non-verbal. And we have non-specific, meaning that it is not specific at all. Right? So these are basically a few examples of our prefixes, which is an, dis, im, non. Yes, we can even say impossible, meaning that it is not possible for you to do something. It is impossible. It's like a negative way of saying, I don't think you can do it. All right. So once again, these are words that we call prefixes. And literally all of these words, they mean something negative, right? They mean the opposite of something good. It means not. For example, untie, right? That word un means not, meaning I'm not going to tie it. I'm loosening it. I'm untying it. I'm unzipping the pants or unzipping the jacket or unzipping the bag. It's unacceptable, meaning that it is not accepted at all. Then we have impatient, you're not patient. Improper, that you're not proper at all. Then an impact also. Can be a negative impact, a positive impact. Impossible, meaning that you won't be able to do it. It is too impossible for you to do something. Then by the word non, we have nonsense. It does not make sense. Non-verbal, that you are not talking. Then we have the word im. That is actually im. Oh, we have im over here. Then we have dis, and then we have dislike, meaning that I do not like you. All right. So once again, a prefix can be added to the beginning of a base word in order to create a new word. And knowing the meaning of a prefix, it can help you determine the meaning of a word. So knowing the meaning of these words, for example, like miss means incorrectly or badly. And all of these words, which is an, dis, im, non, it means not. Right? And we said knowing the meaning of the prefix, it can help you to determine the meaning of a word. All right. So knowing the meaning of the prefix can help you determine the meaning of the word. Meaning that if you know the meaning of the word an, dis, im, non, miss, then you already know the meaning of a specific word. So whichever base word that word, the prefix is attached to, you will be able to know like, okay, this is now going to be the opposite of that. Right? All right. So now we're going to a+students.ca. So we're doing our tutorial lesson on a+students.ca. All right. So we said our chapter is prefixes and suffixes. And now we're going to the lesson of words with miss. And we said the prefix, all right, to determine knowing the meaning of a word, right, will help us to determine the meanings of other words, or let's say the rest of the word. All right. So basically, knowing the meaning of a prefix can help you to determine the meaning of a word. And we say the prefix miss, it means incorrectly or badly. All right. If we look at this word misinterpreted, if we look at the word misinterpreted, if misinterpreted means it is a negative word, it means that you are not interpreting me correctly, or it's interpreted incorrectly. All right. So it says which are less likely to be misinterpreted. So the word misinterpreted, right? It can also be unclear decisions or instructions that is being given, right? All right. Yes, impossible is correct. So now we're going to words with and, dis, in, im, and non, right? And we see that knowing the meaning of a word, it will help you to determine the new meaning of a word. And we see that all of these words, which is an, dis, in, im, and non, it will mean the same thing. And the prefixes an, dis, in, im, and non, it usually means not, or it means opposite of. Right? So all of these words, or let's say the prefixes, they mean not, which is the opposite, or they mean opposite of. So it's anything negative, which is either not or it is the opposite of. All right. So which is considered improper. So improper is it wiping your nose with your sleeve or walking to school instead of taking the bus. So basically, if we were to consider something improper, we would say wiping your nose from your sleeve is improper. Not deciding to walk when you're supposed to be taking the bus, wiping your nose from your sleeve, that is improper. All right. Then we even have words like it says, why might you feel disconnected from friends? Disconnected. So the word dis, right? If we look at the word dis, then it's disconnect, disimportant, right? Those are the words with the meaning with the word dis. And remember, I said that it is a negative word, right? So it means not. All right, so now we're going to our test. So, why might you feel disconnected from friends? If you were to feel disconnected from friends, right, is it because you haven't heard from them in a while? Or you'll feel disconnected because you've been spending a lot of time with them. Why would you feel disconnected? Because you haven't heard from them in a while, or because you've been spending a lot of time with them. So we need to choose the correct answer between is it option A or if it's option B. All right. And if you feel disconnected, right, then it means that you haven't heard from any of your friends or people in a while. So that means disconnected. What is an uncivilized person? Unlikely to do an uncivilized person. Is it say, excuse me? An uncivilized person say, excuse me? Or just drink water. So uncivilized, what does uncivilized mean? Does it mean when somebody say, excuse me? Or they drink water? So uncivilized. All right, and if we were to choose the correct option, we'll go with option one. So well done. Option one is correct. It is where they will say, excuse me, which is non living. Is it a plant is non living or a mineral is non living? Remember, we have living things and non living things. So, non living. Is it a plant or a mineral? Yes. So, which means that a non living thing would be a mineral, right? Because a plant, an animal, or basically humans are living things, right? But anything else is non living. So, a mineral is non living. So, well done. Then, when are you likely to have a disagreement with someone? A disagreement. So, a mineral. Then, if we go to the next one, it says, when are you likely to have a disagreement with someone? A disagreement. Like nobody wants to understand. That's a disagreement. So, disagreement, it says when you share the same opinion or when you have different opinions. You either share the same opinions or you have different opinions. So, when you share the same opinion, nope. Or when you have different opinions. So we're going to go with the second option because it says, when are you likely to have a disagreement with someone? And it's when you have different opinions. Which country is more independent? The country that is more independent is the one that controls everything. All right. So it says here, which country is more independent? Is it one that controls itself or one that's controlled by other country? So it says which country is more independent, and here we're saying this one that ticks. It says one that controls itself, right? So that is actually, for example, the correct one. One that controls itself. So when is the puzzle incomplete? Right? So basically, when the puzzle is incomplete, so when is a puzzle incomplete? And a puzzle is incomplete when, let's say, for example, the finer things are not on there. right? Yes, incomplete when there's a missing piece. So well done. The first one is correct. When there is a missing piece. So we will say that when it is a missing piece, that is when the puzzle is incomplete. So we said that when a puzzle is incomplete, we have something negative. All right. So basically, when it is a missing piece. All right. When is a story nonsense? So we can say, when is a story nonsense? When doesn't it make sense at all? Because nonsense. Is it when it sounds reasonable or when it could not possibly be true? So we're going to go with the last option. All right. So we said we have nonsense, we have impossible, dislike. Those words are all it means a negative word, right? When it couldn't possibly be true, that is correct. So, for example, KC, if they say that it's incomplete, it is just whatever, then you must know it actually means not. All right. So we can say nonsense story is when it could not possibly be. Oopsie. Right? So when a story is nonsense, then we say it is when it could not possibly be true. That is when the story is nonsense, right? It's like you're talking nonsense, you're not making sense of whatever that you're saying. The story is it cannot be true. The story is not, it's not adding up, right? That is what they mean when they say the story is nonsense. It does not make sense. So that is nonsense, right? Then we have the word disobedient. Disobedient. Is disobedient, right? Where you're not obedient. Is disobedient a reward? Rewarded with a treat? So if we look at the word disobedient, if your person or your friend or you are obedient, right, it means that you are listening. But as soon as you are disobedient, it means that you are not listening, you are not behaving. And a disobedient pet, for example, you need to try to train it better because we cannot reward it with a treat because it was disobedient. All right. So disobedient means to try to train it better because they are naughty. Now, which activity is unnecessary? So, unnecessary, is it eating food or is it watching television? Which activity is unnecessary? So, we said what is unnecessary or an unnecessary activity to do? Okay, some is saying eating food, some is saying watching television. Remember, when it comes to doing things, then it just means that it needs to be moderate, it needs to be, timed. So, okay, let's go with watching TV. That is unnecessary. So, yes, watching television is unnecessary. It's like you're wasting your time if it is not news, example, right? All right, so this is now the lesson, our lesson on prefixes and suffixes, right? We said the words miss, and, dis, in, im, and non. They all mean opposite things, or so the opposite of meaning that they know, or it means not. And then we have words like full, less, able, and able, and these words are for the next lesson, but they are suffixes, right? And we see the prefix is a word that is added to, let's say, our base word. All right. So we said prefixes are words that you add in front of a root word or a base word. Suffixes is words that you add at the end of a base word or a root word. And knowing the meaning of these words will make it much more easy in class if we were to discuss it. But now this is the end of our lesson, grade fives. Thank you very much for interacting. Till next time, goodbye.